What's up, guys? Today we're going to be installing the Sicass dual sport kit on a 22 TE300. This kit is the same for the 2020 to 2022 TE and FE models. First of all, let's start by removing the airbox cover, the seat, the right side panel, and the tank. The tank has one 8mm bolt right in the center, and then you have the 4 bolts, 2 on each side under the radiator shroud holding the rad louvers. Disconnect the fuel hose on the left side, just has a push pin and it comes right out. Disconnect the fuel pump on the back right side and the tank's ready to pull off. On the right side cover there's a taillight wire. You want to cut the zip tie and then trace that wire up to the 4-pin connector. You will have to pull off this ECU here to get to it. Don't be afraid, just pull up. And then you will find your 4-pin connector for the taillight. You want to unplug that connector. Alright, so take out all the bolts. You want all the bolts for this rear fender because you want to be able to get this black under fender out. If you've never taken apart one of these Husky fenders before, they are in there very well. So normally the easiest way to do it, hit with your fist down, everything will pop out. There's multiple bolts up inside. There should be a bolt there, and then the rear fender bolts, which are back on the subframe there. Once you have the fender disconnected, flip it over and you will find 2 torque screws connecting the black inner fender to the white rear fender. You want to remove both of those screws. This taillight fender is always a pain in the butt, so make sure you pop the sides out first. Once you pop the sides out, the rest of it will follow. The best way to get the black inner fender out is just to use force. You're going to have to pull on each side and then it should pop right out. Here we have the license plate light. Remove the adhesive backing on both sides and smash it down onto the fender. Eventually you will have to peel the top side adhesive backing and smash that between the normal fender, but I would wait until you're done test fitting for drilling the turn signals. These are the rear turn signals provided by Sicass. By the looks of it, we'll have to drill a hole for the mount and a hole for the wire. Alright, we got our first hole drilled. Let's try to match the one up on the other side. To mark these, I'm just pushing this rubber piece up almost to the white fender there. And then just taking a orange paint pen right through the hole, just marking it. You look for the other side hole and this hole. Very close, if you can see the other side. Alright, we got our second hole drilled. Just going to drill a small hole above that, just to run the wires through. Nothing crazy. I'm going to make sure I leave a little bit of meat there on the plastic. That way we are not going to be in big trouble, accidentally ripping them out and stuff like that, or egging the hole out. Just try not to do that. So I got 2 holes in each side. One for the mount, one for the wire. Let's bolt down the turn signals, run the wires through, and see how it looks. Okay, we got both turn signals installed. Drilled in. The next time I do one of these Sicass kits, and for you viewers at home, I would remove the tail light and wait to put the license plate light on until you drill these 2 extra holes for the turn signal wires. It's just an extra precaution so you don't chew through the taillight wire with your drill bit. And once you have the 2 holes drilled, you can reinstall the taillight and route all the wires. Reinstall all the lights onto the black fender, and then you can remove the red double-sided adhesive and smash that back into the white fender. After that, just make sure all the wires are routed. You're going to bring them through the OEM clips right here. Pull the wires up through the air box, and then you can add a zip tie where the OEM location was. Let's move on to the rear brake switch. First, locate the rear master cylinder and remove the top bolt. Loosen up the lower bolt. You want to pull the master cylinder away from the frame. That way you have a little bit of space, and you want to tighten the lower bolt back in place. While holding the brake line in place, you want to remove the banjo bolt. Mine was a 13mm, and then hand tighten this brake switch down into its place. Make sure the crush washer is still on it. With the brake switch hand tight, you want to press down on the rear brake until you start to see the brake fluid seeping from underneath the banjo bolt. Keep pressing that brake pedal down and then tighten the brake switch down with a 14mm wrench. Do not release the brake until the brake switch is tightened down completely, otherwise you will let air into the system and have to bleed the brakes. For the brake switch, ran up behind here, use this OEM zip tie to hold that brake wiring there. Put one more zip tie up top right behind this tank right here, then ran it along the frame back. I zip tied it right there in that hole. I ran it underneath. So I forgot to show you the TE harness that comes with this kit. It goes in the 4-prong taillight connector in the beginning of the video. You just put one end into the taillight side and one end into the harness side. It just plugs in between. This is the same style TE, but this one's used on the headlight. This one goes to the headlight harness. Just goes right between the headlight wiring and the harness side. Everything has a connector, so this kit's real nice, easy, plug and play style. No soldering involved. I ran the main wire that comes back here down through here, crossed over underneath the tank. Ran it up along the side here, following the same. I took out this Torx, pulled everything back, stuck it behind these throttle cables. It fit right behind that black piece, so we ran that wire all the way up to the front. This kit came with the Handguard turn signals, but the customer wanted a different style of turn signals installed, so we just added these ones. They bolt right on, quick and easy to use. They were mostly plug and play, same style connectors. The headlight mask already has a hole, so no drilling involved either. I mounted the flasher the same spot Sicass recommended on the headlight. Just had to remove and reinstall that Torx. Just connect the positive and ground leads to the wiring harness. The color codes are marked on the harness itself, so it's pretty self-explanatory for this part. Routed the horn. It's the bottom wire coming up through. I just zip tied it here because it goes down behind the radiator louver right there. I took both bolts out, pulled the louver out a little bit, was able to run the wires right through the radiator louver. Use the OEM bolt. I had to add a bit of electrical tape on the handlebar because when the switch was tight it still wanted to rotate on the handlebar. And then for the wiring I ended up just using zip ties to hold it around the clutch hose. Make sure you test all the lights and switches before you go ride. Got your low beam there, high beam. Low beam, left turn signal, right turn signal. That's it for the install. It was easy and straightforward. If you guys have questions, shoot me a message on here. Make sure you like and subscribe. Thanks, guys.